While cutting down an ancient tree, a man suddenly felt something hard buried beneath the ground. Curious, he quickly cleared away the soil around his feet and discovered a Buddha statue hidden underground. Excited, he took it home and began washing it with water. But what he saw next left him completely stunned. The upper portion of the statue was made of pure gold. He was overwhelmed with both shock and happiness. He had never seen so much gold in his entire life. To keep his discovery hidden from others, he secretly took the statue to the basement when no one was around and hid it in a corner. But he had no idea that this statue would eventually become the reason for his downfall. After finding the statue, he could barely sleep at night. His mind was constantly occupied with thoughts of the Golden Buddha. One night, he could no longer control his curiosity. While his wife was fast asleep, he quietly went down to the basement, picked up the statue, and examined it carefully. The next day, he contacted one of his friends to find out how much the statue might be worth. The moment his friend saw a picture of it, his eyes lit up. He immediately asked Haki where he had found it, but Haki refused to tell him. Instead, he claimed that his grandmother had left it for him before she died. When his friend learned that Haki planned to sell the Golden Buddha, he offered to find a buyer in exchange for a share of the profit. After they reached an agreement, the friend found a buyer the very next day. When the buyer arrived in a luxury car, Haki assumed that he must be extremely wealthy. He pulled some rotten fruit out of his sack and pretended to search through it for a long time before finally taking out the pure gold Buddha statue. The buyer immediately pulled out professional equipment and carefully examined the statue before offering 200,000 lira. Haki insisted that the statue had to be worth much more, but the buyer told him that such objects were not as rare as he thought and that 200,000 lira was the current market price. If Haki didn't like the offer, he was free to sell it to someone else. Although Haki was unhappy with the price, he was poor and desperately needed the money. His 2 children were still in school and he had numerous bills to pay. Reluctantly, he accepted the offer and returned home with 200,000 lira in cash. He threw the bundles of money onto the sofa. His wife and daughter could hardly believe their eyes and immediately demanded to know where the money had come from. Haki told them everything, but strictly warned the family never to tell anyone about it. As soon as the money arrived, Haki completely changed. He began behaving as if he were already rich. He even bought a car to pick up his older son and started planning luxurious family vacations. He told his son that he no longer needed to work during the summer. The family stopped worrying about their food and other expenses and began buying whatever they wanted without looking at the price. But Haki never imagined that 200,000 lira could disappear so quickly. Within only a few days, they had spent almost all of it. His wife warned him that they needed to be more careful with their money, but Haki wasn't worried at all. He was convinced that there couldn't be just one statue buried beneath that ancient tree. His grandmother had once told him that something beneath a great tree protected their family. So Haki became convinced that more golden Buddha statues must be buried there. The next morning, he confidently returned to the site and began digging again. But suddenly his friend arrived without warning. It turned out that he had already spent his share of the money and now suspected that Haki had discovered a hidden gold mine. He wanted to become Haki's partner, but Haki was furious. On top of that, he can maintain this giant form for only about 3 minutes. Once that time runs out, if he does not quickly return to his normal size, his body becomes completely exhausted, causing him to collapse and become almost unconscious.